Good morning. Today we're going to be planting some of the green beans that we've started from seed. We got these guys put into these peat pods about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and we've got some tomatoes. We've got a passion fruit, looks like another passion fruit coming up over here, and our green beans. But really what we're going to focus on today is we're going to transplant these green beans into our garden and get them kind of mixed in and going with the established green beans that we have already. So yesterday I built this trellis out of some of the bamboo that we went and picked up the road. Got it all wired in and ready. So this will be our framework for these green beans to climb up. Essentially just like this one that we had created before. We've got 4 green bean plants already established. You can see they're starting to bud and even create some fruit on them. So we figured it was a really good time to get these other green beans in the ground. So we're going to just start out by getting them out of our tray. And it's really pretty easy to do. We use a plastic fork. Pry them on out. You can see that they have a lot of good established roots on these green beans, and they're not bound too badly. So we can just loosen it just so slightly and get them started in the ground here. So just dig a little hole, enough to cover up to the top of your root pod. You don't want to compact the soil around it too much. You compact it a little bit just by pressing down with your fingers, but don't do a lot. And then just lightly fill in around the outside. You pull any weeds that are going to be around it as well. So we kind of pre-dug these holes a little bit, so they are ready for us. See, the peat moss that we use in our cups here really retains moisture well. So we like to make sure that we get that put in with our plant as much as possible. Moisture retention's vital for the growth of those root systems. So see, in green beans they're very high and they produce their own nitrogen, so you don't have to fertilize these a ton. But here in the Caribbean, you also need to water a little more than once a day. Well, at least once a day. In a lot of other areas, different zones, you'll find that watering green beans is not essential, but maybe a couple of times a week. Here in the Caribbean, with all the real hot sun and lack of water, even in the wet season, you need to give them ample water. So we water at least once a day, and that's how we got these green beans to establish so well so quickly. They really like that water. So, and we will water these in after we get them all planted. This was you see this green bean here, his leaves started shriveling up yesterday, so that's why we knew that we had to get him planted. So we'll monitor him, and God willing, it'll take right off after this transplant here and start to produce real well for us. Pick out all these weeds. So now we're going to go over and get some mulch so that we can mulch in where the green beans that we just planted are. That'll help retain that moisture and give us proper nutrients to help the growth of these green bean plants. So we're just going to walk right over here and to our front yard essentially and get some of the leaves from the fig leaves and some of that, mash it up and mulch in our garden. All right, so we're out in front of our place here, underneath the fig tree. As you can see, we've got some green figs growing right here. And when we trim the lawn and get all the clippings raked up, we have a tendency to bring them out here and put them underneath the fig tree to help mulch in there. So a lot of these leaves, when they die out, they hit the ground, or due to lack of soil around the bottom of the figs, they will topple over. And you can see down here we have all this great mulch material, all this dried stuff that we'll end up cutting it up, putting it in these buckets and going in and mulching in our garden with it. So I'm going to get started. All these leaves, the grass, everything really makes excellent mulch. So just grab all the dead stuff, minus the creeping vine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to water these in. Now that we've got a little bit of topsoil on top of these new green beans, we're going to water them in, and then I've stripped out a bunch of the fig leaves off of the main stalks, and we will go ahead and mulch everything to hold that water in there. Just give them a nice little light watering, make sure it soaks in real well into the soil. That'll help that root establish in the new soil. Again, we're not going to put any fertilizer on this because they produce their own very well, and you don't want to overdo it. That'll cause them to die quicker than anything. So give them a good soaking here. And we'll start with that mulch. We'll wet the mulch as well as soon as we get that put down. That way we can hold that moisture in. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the mulch here. These are from those fig leaves that we broke down. And we're just going to place it around these green beans to help with moisture content. Each one of them will get a good amount of mulch. So we just got all the mulch placed around all the green beans, including the ones that we had pre-established. Then we watered them down. So that's going to lock in that moisture for those roots. At this point, we are all finished transplanting these green beans. Now we just water daily and pray that God takes control and they grow up to be a good crop for us and to help others. Thank you for joining us.